Hey, what's good? I'm Isaac Lee, and we're back with another episode with Young Rock, Episode 3, Forward Together. This is the rundown. Alright, so in Episode 3, Young Rock, he's continuing his presidential campaign. They asked him what's the biggest thing that facing everyday people, and he says job security. And he goes back to 1982, where at this point in time, Rocky Johnson, he's with the WWF, not the WWE, but the WWF. He's able to make good money. He's in a nice hotel. Young Dwayne is reaping the benefits of room service. He's never had that before, and we see him. Well, at least we see Rocky Johnson being in a place where he could feel more proud of, just being able to provide for his family. And he has it in his mind that he's going to be Vince McMahon's big star, which, without even being a wrestling fan, everyone knows that Andre the Giant was Vince McMahon's golden goose. But he had it in his mind that him and Vince were going to do all these great things. And I mean, he did do some great things as far as being a tag team champ with Tony Atlas, but that's beside the point. He really got beside himself as far as thinking that he was going to be the next big major star for the WWF. And it's funny because they have a scene where all the guys are together, and then you see Andre the Giant. He comes out with an action figure, which I had to look up. I had to look up the old school action figure, and you get to see how the arms are moving and everything. And even young Dwayne is like, "So, Dad, where's yours?" He has to play it off like, "Yeah, I'm sure mine is coming," and Andre just shuts that down like, "Nah, I wouldn't bet on it." He finds out that him and Vince been having these they've been going out to like having dinner or whatnot, and as much as he loves being with the WWE, he's not as much of a priority as he would hope. And then on top of that, this episode, and before I go any further, there will be spoilers, so just gonna give you a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to continue. Another thing this episode talks about is how wrestlers moving from one promotion to another. We have this episode puts focus on Lia Maivia's promotion. She had her own wrestling promotion, and she took it over after her late husband Peter Maivia, The Rock's grandfather. So it's all about how she had this small promotion, and at this point in time, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I want to work for a woman," and yada yada yada. And she's trying to put together this battle royale, and you got people like ducking and dodging. Not really ducking and dodging her. I should take that back, but they're like skipping out on it to go to another promotion because another person is giving like the big bucks. So, she showed a flyer where, it sees everybody you've seen before. It shows Rocky Johnson. It shows Junkyard Dog. It shows, Iron Sheik. It actually shows Macho Man Randy Savage. It shows King Kong Bundy. King Kong Bundy all of a sudden couldn't make it because apparently his mother was sick. And then like we later find out that's a lie. And then we also see Junkyard Dog try to use the same excuse, talking about talking about his mother was sick. I'm like, it's funny how Rocky and Lia just showed up at his apartment. Like, yeah, where you going? The man had his bags packed and everything. He was doing the same thing. Well, he had the same mind state then that a lot of people now do. They'll go from one promotion to another because of the money. It's like they got a family to think of and things like that. And it gets to a point in the show where Leah's having a conversation with Vince McMahon, and Lia, she's cool with Vince because their relationship with Peter Maivia. And Vince is like, you know what? I'm not gonna take your big stars. He's like, I understand like the business is rough in this particular area. I'm not gonna take your big stars. I'm not gonna take the Wild Samoans. I'm not gonna take Rocky. And she's like, oh, thank you. Which is cool to hear it at that point in time. But that does not last. If you look at, 20, 30 years from this time period, you see it all the time. WWE, they have, and this is a little bit of a rant, just going off subject a little bit, but WWE does this all the time, where they're now the world's biggest wrestling platform, but they would just sign, but they'll have no idea what to do with these people. It's like, and you can't help but to compare to who they were before they got to WWE and what they're doing now. Like, first person comes to my mind is Shinsuke Nakamura. He was a superstar in New Japan, and now it's like he can barely break through the mid-card glass ceiling. And then you have people like Ricochet, who's incredible in the ring. If anyone who's curious about what Ricochet is really capable of, look at Lucha Underground. Then you'll see what he's capable of, and now compare to what you see on Monday Night Raw. It's ridiculous, and they do that a lot. Another interesting thing that they talked about was Otta Johnson. And I love the fact that they're giving other characters, I don't want to say they're giving them things to do, but they're putting more focus on them, because of course the show is called Young Rock. It's all about what made The Rock what he is today. But it's not just about his experiences, it's about the people around him who also made it what it is. So as much as, yeah, I want to hear about, kid and teenager, Dwayne Johnson, I want to hear more about Lia Maivia. I want to hear more about Otta Johnson. So with Otta Johnson, we find out that she's still dealing with the death of, her father, Peter Maivia, and her mother, Lia. She had this whole box of her stuff. She's like, oh yeah, we want you to go through it to see, what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of. And by the end of it, the box was nearly untouched. And it was just like one little piece of garbage from a store that was like closed down years ago. It was like she couldn't get rid of any of it. She was like, it was still too soon. And then on top of that, we also find out that she had a passion for singing at one point. She starts getting interested about maybe getting back into singing. They do make a reference of the show, what was that show? Star Search. They make a mention about that, and there's a scene where they're having dinner. Otta Rocky and young Dwayne, they're out having dinner somewhere, and she kind of surprises the family, and she picks a song to sing along with this band. So so it's interesting to see how far they go with that storyline. It's like to see, okay, she had an interest in singing, what stopped her, and now that she's kind of picking it back up, how far did they go with it? Let me point this out too. I really like the guy they casted for Vince McMahon, because he's supposed to play like, this is 1982. So this is 1982 Vince McMahon, where people still believe that, oh, he's just a ring announcer. Oh, well, not a ring announcer. I meant to say people think that he's still a commentator. That was the whole gimmick. The gimmick was that, oh, he's just a commentator. And then it wasn't until later, I want to say, and I could be wrong, I want to say it was around the time of the whole Shawn Michaels Bret Hart thing. I want to say it might have been somewhere around that time where they finally broke the veil per se, and they let people know that, oh, he's actually the owner the whole time. This is at that time where he's just a commentator. He's sitting at the desk and things like that. But I like this episode. I feel like, we are getting somewhere. I'm interested in episode 4, which will be out this upcoming Tuesday. I try to be on top of this, but I got a work schedule. I'm sorry. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? And if you like what I had to offer, hit that like and subscribe at the bottom. I'm Isaac Lee. This is The Rundown.